guess you want to just jump into the story here?
Yes, man.
Okay, so a little backstory on this. So we're from Fort Smith, Arkansas. I think we all was born here, grew up here.
Mm-hmm. Born and raised.
No, you was technically born in Kentucky, Archie.
Archie.
But raised majority in Fort Smith, Arkansas. So anybody who is native or knows of the area, y'all probably know of this incident that took place. It happened on Johnson Street, the block that we actually grew up on. I guess I'm just going to let you take it away. And you kind of give the backstory, say what you want, get your piece out there.
So,
and kind of tell who it is, break it down for the people that don't know.
I mean, lately there's been a lot more shootings and violence in our city. This actually happened last year in May. So now that the trial is over and everything, I'll just get right into it. I was found guilty and convicted of a violent felony, but at the same time, I was sentenced to probation by a jury of my peers who recommended it, and the judge accepted it. Now, with that being said, I did shoot someone. By law, under the law, they did find me guilty of committing that crime. Backstory on this is that it's actually my sister's baby daddy.
And also my cousin's baby daddy. Long story, but yeah. Close to us growing up.
Yeah. I was never really close with this dude. I mean, I can't speak for anybody else. Plus, my sister, has a kid with him. Personally, I never had a problem with him. I did not respect him as a person just because he's never been in my nephew's life. But long story short, we'll get into this. He had just been released from prison. We come back down here on his parole. Started talking with my sister, doing stuff like that more and everything, which is none of my business or anything. But
he was paroled from Chicago, right?
Yes.
All right. And he paroled back down here because that's where his mom was living.
He paroled out to his mom's.
Right.
Yeah, so
that's what brought him back to Fort Smith.
Now, leading up to this, I had made a few comments to my sister, not to him. And then she actually told him, and he had messaged me trying to fight me and this and that. And I'm like, I don't get into that type of stuff anymore. I'm too old. I don't.
Right. What was the comments?
The comments I made to my sister were that he was sending pictures and stuff of money and Gucci bags and things like that, but he's not helping you, or why is he not giving you money or anything or helping with Jasper? Now, my nephew is now almost 10 years old. He is autistic, and it's just...
I bet that's hard to watch when you see, because he was actually...
Is it hard to talk about?
Like this whole situation is just mentally is very straining.
And also, before you go any further, for the record, like if you don't feel comfortable talking about, anything, just say, hey,
no comment.
No comment.
We can even cut it out. Yeah. It can be...
Talk about it. But
this can all be edited out, whatever.
I mean, it is very emotional. My nephew and my daughter are 3 weeks apart. They're both the same age. Spend time together.
Growing up together, damn near more like siblings than cousins. Yeah.
So, it is emotional. So getting back into it,
and the pictures, real quick, that he was sending with the money and the bags, this wasn't like hearsay. He was sending pictures to me personally with this type of stuff, with big bundles of cash, with Gucci bags, and like 3 or 4 phones. So this ain't like Archie was just hearing of this type of shit happening, I was actually able to show him, bro, why is it? And there was no context for him to send me any of this. He was just like trying to flex. You know what I mean? Like, and that's basically where Archie is coming from. Like, okay, hold up, you can flex this money to people who don't even like really care or matter. But yeah, you got a son and a daughter around here.
Multiple children.
You can't take care of your kids.
There is actually more children involved than just Archie's nephew and my niece. There is multiple kids involved, but we don't have any information on them or where they're at. Real quick, I will say, growing up, I would have considered D'Angelo a homie. Like, I mean, even to this day, I don't necessarily have a problem with him. But if it's one of them things to where he's looking at me such as, oh, well, you took Archie's side, so we got beef, I mean, so be it. That is what it is, because this is my brother.
So before all of that, was he like, okay, so you're taking Archie's side, and then he started sending you like
no
pictures?
He was just sending me pictures, just trying to flex, like almost like
trying to show off,
to his friends type stuff, right? He'd been gone to Chicago for years, okay? When he did live down here, like Archie said, Archie wasn't that close to him. When he was with my cousin Katrina, who has now passed away, like me and my other cousin Cody, her little brother, was like in the household with these people. Like we grew up with them. I mean, we was selling drugs with them, like smoking weed, doing all that shit we shouldn't have been doing at a very young age. And I mean, I can say just as a character reference for D'Angelo, he does have mental problems. We may even have to bleep his name. I don't know if we need to put it out there, but
it's all public record, so
okay. So fuck it. If it's public record, we can talk about whatever. That's kind of why I wanted to wait till the case was closed to really talk about this, because I feel there is no can we talk about it? What can we not say? It's done. It's done. He's like he said. He got found guilty. No jail time.
Now, I will say anything I'm going to speak of is going to be based on just anything related to my case, not any of his active criminal cases.
Fair enough.
Just to be fair.
Yeah, fair enough.
Hey, y'all can go look it up on your own, though. I'm telling y'all, it's out there.
Fair
like
enough.
you said, all this is public record. Okay, so the pictures were sent. You made comments to your sister. And legit comments about why can he appear to be flossing and doing so good, yet your son has needs that's not being met by the father. Why is it just your sister doing things?
And I'm guessing word got back to him.
So she had actually told him, and he had messaged me, talking about, I'm gonna beat your ass, meet me at the corner, this and that. And I'm like, man, in our messages, I did tell him, I said, we'll pull up then, like, I'm not afraid to fight anybody.
Right.
Now, with that being said, I am a father. I'm divorced. I have responsibilities, child support, things like that. I don't do the things I used to do when I was younger. I don't act like that. I've been at the same job almost 7 years. I'm not financially stable as far as, being able to do a lot of things, but I work. I try my best. I provide for my daughter. Now, with that, so, I basically blew it off and I told him, hey, worry about your kids, what size clothes they wear, what they need. And that was the end of it. I didn't respond back. I blocked him. Well, I didn't block him, but I sent him to that, whatever it is, on Facebook.
Yeah, basically like a spam folder almost, yeah. Like ignore type shit.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this goes on. This was a few weeks prior. So
take us to the day of the incident.
So leading up to the day of, man, apparently he had come that night. My sister took him her vehicle for whatever reason, and had ended up showing up at my house. Now, I stayed with my mother. My sister stayed there. I also have other family members there that are younger, so I'm not going to get into any of that. But
there are
other I have children there. My child is there because she's now on summer break because she goes to Oklahoma school, so she gets out earlier. It's like the last week of school in Fort Smith or something like that.
There's a week difference from Arkansas to Oklahoma.
So I didn't even know he was there at the moment. So I'd heard my mom yelling outside. So I go outside. D'Angelo was out there. So I ended up telling him to leave a few times. He doesn't want to leave.
Did he appear to be under the influence of anything?
At that time,
you think?
I didn't know. After I told him to leave multiple times, he took off his little sweater, his jacket, whatever it was. We all know someone takes off their stuff whether they want to do.
They're
trying to fight. Yeah.
Like I said, my child's here. This, that. My mom's
other children here. Your mom's. Yeah. So you're telling somebody to leave from your property. They start to take off their clothes. They start to get into basically a fighting stance, threatening you, your mom, whoever is out there.
Yes.
So once he does that, once he takes off his shirt,
he's already made it clear that he has an issue with me and he wants to fight.
Right.
Now, that's fine. You catch me out in public and we're there. That's a different story.
But
you
family,
come to my home,
your family is there.
My child's here.
Yeah.
So
once he takes off the sweater, jacket, whatever, what happens from there?
So from there, I've told him, he does that. I'm like, all right. So I go in my home. I retrieve my weapon. I go outside. Now, I didn't know that he had already tried to fight another member of my household already.
Because that had happened while you was inside.
Yeah.
He actually got into a physical altercation with your mother's boyfriend.
Yes.
And that you was totally unaware of.
I was unaware of.
Okay.
So I at this time he's kind of in the street. He's not really in my yard or anything, but he's close enough to my mother and her boyfriend at this time that I step in between them and I remain to tell him, you need to leave. You need to go back around the corner, go to your mama's house, whatever.
Right.
That's
what's he tell you then? How does he respond when you say leave?
So, in that situation, I don't really remember what he was saying. I believe he called me a bitch, said I wasn't going to do nothing. And that's when he...
Did he notice you had the firearm at this time?
He knew I was armed at that time.
Okay.
He basically, not in a like a little stepping, but he comes at me. Mm-hmm. At this time,
Why you have a firearm?
I shoot. Now, I didn't know if I hit him at the time. So,
how many times do you shoot?
That was the first.
That was just one shot?
That was only one shot.
Okay.
Now, I didn't know if I'd hit him at that point. I never even knew how many times I shot him until I went to court. Okay. For my trial.
How many times was he shot?
So he was shot a total of 4 times.
What caliber?
With 380.
380. Okay.
So
a smaller round.
Yeah. That one apparently had grazed his upper arm.
Okay.
The first shot.
The first shot. At that time, he had continued to talk. Run his mouth. He had got up on the side of my sister's vehicle on the passenger side and had told me that he was going to come back. Now, this is what he had said at the time, that he was going to come back and kill me and my mother.
Mm-hmm. So, right there. So, sorry to cut you off right there. So, this is because I wasn't there, of course. So, from the outside looking in, you had already told him to leave.
Multiple times.
Okay, multiple times. And then you fire one shot. You say you didn't know if it hit him, but you say you think it might have grazed his arm. Right?
At that time, I did not know.
You did not know.
Knowing now, I know it did graze him.
Okay.
So, just like I said, from the outside looking in, you fire one shot. That right there should be like,
I need to get the fuck out of here.
I need to go.
Bro.
I need to leave because you fired one shot. Then you said that he gets on the side of your sister's car, and he said, "I'm gonna come back."
So her car is kind of like yours. It's an SUV. It's a Hyundai Tucson or something like that. So he's up on the side of the door frame.
Yeah, kind of where you can step up.
Yeah.
And that's when he goes to say that he's going to come back, kill me and my mother.
See that right there.
And at that point,
did you believe that he would make good on that threat?
I mean, I had every belief that he would
Right.
at least try to make good on that.
Yeah.
Because he also said he had an altercation.
Yeah.
Already that. Archie
Well, and that's the thing too. Growing up with this person, I can speak to say that, like, if he was to say something like that, whether it had been, "I'm gonna beat your ass," "I'm gonna come back and kill you," "I'm gonna shoot you," I can say I would take that word almost as bond.
Because I mean, and I'm not just saying this because I personally know you, Archie, but just trying to put myself in your shoes. If you're there with the first thing is to protect my family.
Yes.
Protect my family at all costs. Especially if you're getting all of this information that you didn't know about before this incident already happened. Like, okay, yeah, so he already fought someone else at my family.
Yep.
You know, and then going back, after you fired the first shot, then he said, "Oh, I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna kill you and your family."
And you have and you have no other reason to not believe that he would make good on that promise or statement. Not a promise, a statement, threat.
And the system, let's say police officers. So you're telling me that an officer of the law, if someone said,
"I'm gonna kill
I'm
you.
gonna come back, I'm gonna kill you and your family,"
you would at least be arrested for terroristic threatening. Op top. Whether you come back and try to do something could be further charges, but okay. So you shoot once, you don't know if you hit him. To your knowledge, you missed completely. Because, I mean, did he act as if he was hit?
It happened so quick that, like...
It's kind of hard to recall. You got the adrenaline flowing.
At that point, you know, my adrenaline is going.
But you're still remaining calm,
kind of
too.
in, like,
you're probably boiling, probably like...
It's not even, like, an angry, like, adrenaline. It's more of a... All right, so...
More like a high alert.
Especially, like he said, knowing that... stepping into, like we just said, he had just been released on parole. What was he released on parole for? So
is that running through your head?
When he was arrested in Chicago, he was arrested by SWAT. He had attempted to stab 2 SWAT team members. Now,
so this is somebody who clearly has a violent past. Like I said, that if they was to make a threat of, "I'm going to kill you or harm you in any way,"
and it
should
goes
be
back
taken serious.
way further. Like even as young teens, like having him and I don't remember who they were. I can't remember what their names was. The little racist white kids from down the street.
JJ?
At him and stuff. No. Like further down.
Oh, I don't remember that then.
Their house always had the Confederate flags and.
Oh yeah, I don't remember that for sure then. Damn.
And knowing that he's going to do something,
right?
You know, so.
Well, and especially now that you shot at him, you may have missed completely.
Yeah.
Of course, he is going to be angry.
Like I said. He just told me he was going to come back and kill me. You got to remember, he lives
walking distance
1,000 feet away, around the corner. I don't know what he has in the vehicle at the moment. So,
let alone back at the house that's in walking distance.
First thought you got, I gotta protect my family. I gotta make sure he don't come back.
Right.
So,
and your daughter's there. Other kids, we say that. So once he makes this threat, "I'm going to come back and kill you and your mom," even though he makes it to just you and your mom stays in the house where all these children are. I'm sure your mind goes instantly to, "You're going to come back to this house?"
Yeah. Where now my daughter is for the next 6 weeks.
Right. So what happens at that point when he makes that threat?
That is when I'm in my yard at this moment. So he's on the other side in the street on top of the car. I go around the back side, which is closest for me, which would be where the door is open. I have a clear angle at him. He kind of goes around the vehicle at this point, and he is fighting with my mom's. Well, him and my mom's boyfriend are kind of, I don't know if they're like fighting. They're tangled up, and I fired 3 additional shots at him.
Okay.
Now, in that time, I hit him twice in the legs and once in the shoulder. And he had ended up stumbling to the neighbor's driveway. And that's where it ended. I didn't run up on him, make sure he was dead. I didn't double tap him.
No more shots after that. Didn't you actually at this point, like once the police was called, you emptied the rounds and set the gun down and stepped away from the weapon?
I put the gun on my porch.
Right.
I emptied my pockets. And I basically got down into surrender stance in my driveway and waited for the police.
Okay.
So
clearly,
at this point, I'm in between. So I know where the gun is. I know where he is. Mm-hmm. I know there's still rounds in it. Mm-hmm. So if something was to happen,
if he was to get back up,
I could still defend my family if I had to. Mm-hmm. But I did. I waited for police. I know. I even asked, like, I don't remember when, right before they showed up, my mom was on the phone with 911 or whatever, and I asked them, where are they? What's taking them so long? Mm-hmm. Multiple people in the neighborhood already called.
Right, because I'm sure they started calling from the first shot.
So,
or at least started looking out the window to see what's going on.
Mm-hmm. Were there a lot of people?
So I didn't hear this until.
Were there a lot of people out there?
There were several people out.
Yeah. Did they stay out as you were shooting, or once the shots, they kind of like?
A couple of them were out there the entire time.
Okay.
Now, this is a neighborhood. There are kids. Mm-hmm. It's 7-something in the morning.
Yeah.
People are getting ready for school, things like that.
Work, which actually is what you was doing. You was on your way to work.
I was fixing to go to work.
Yeah.
That's what I was doing. And that's basically the incident that happened.
When police come, when they finally get there, you are already down on your knees, or you're in a surrender stance.
Yeah. So my hands are on my head. I told them, I'm the one who fired the shots. I'm like, look, you shoot somebody, there's consequences no matter what.
Yeah, for sure.
You can't shoot someone and be like, I'm okay.
I'm 100% good. Yeah, I get to walk away today. Yeah.
That's not how it works. And I understood
it's not like the movies.
Even from my understanding of, I try to keep up with, even though I'm not or wasn't, or I can't possess firearms now being a felon. Mm-hmm. At the time, even though I wasn't a concealed carrier or whatever, there's the constitutional carry in Arkansas.
In Arkansas, just for all the listeners, you can carry in Arkansas without a permit. It does have to be registered, I believe, but you can carry just because the Constitution gives you the right to do so. We are not required to have a concealed carry here to have a firearm for anybody listening in states that do, have those laws.
You still have to keep up with what laws are. You have to follow the same rules as if you did have that. Mm-hmm. Now, in 2021, the year prior, so this happened in 2022, our governor at the time had passed a new self-defense law, which now which gets tricky. It gets into, I was charged with first-degree battery with a firearm, which is the intent to cause harm maliciously. Mm-hmm. And the new law that was passed for self-defense is basically you do not have to retreat as long as you are within your home or the surrounding area of your home. Mm-hmm. Which I was.
So is it, sorry to cut you off, is there not a rule where don't it have to be below a certain
I don't think that matters. I used to think that same thing, and I was always told if you shoot them in the legs, it can't be considered attempted murder. But if you hit a vital organ in the leg, like an artery in the leg, they're just as likely to die as they would. So I think that's a rumor that kind of gets thrown around, and street lawyers that or people you meet in jail, they'll be like, "Oh, you can get off with this," and they'll tell you something crazy like that, "Oh, you shot below the neck, you're good." I think that's just kind of a made up situation.
Yeah, so
So with that law, okay, because I think we talked about this before. So to me, it sounds like you're covered by this law because it says you do not have to retreat, which before you would have had to try to get away or de-escalate the situation.
So no, I'm not required to retreat. I'm not required to de-escalate. I'm not required. I was not the initial aggressor. I'm at my home.
Right. Now, I'm sure it can get tricky about your sister, though, because if your sister is a member of the household who lives in the household and she is allowing the person to be there, they could make the argument that he was almost welcomed on the homestead.
And that goes into, but he was told by multiple people
to leave. Okay, yeah.
As well. That's where it gets tricky. Nowhere in that does it say that I am aware of that I have to physically see this person have a weapon to use physical force or deadly force. It does say that, hey, you got to believe that this person is committing a felony, about to commit a felony, or has committed a felony. Now, when he tells me that he's going to kill me, is that not reasonably believing that this person is about to commit a felony?
Oh, yeah, for sure. I would think so.
So the standard ground law in Arkansas actually states, now a person in the state can use force without retreating in any place they are lawfully present and are not engaged in certain types of criminal activity. So that doesn't even mean it had to be your home. It could just be anywhere you were out in public. If you're there lawfully, not breaking any crimes, which clearly he wasn't. He was just at home getting ready for work, which is not a crime.
Right.
But you have somebody coming and committing terroristic threatening at the minimum. I'm not even gonna talk about, getting into it with the mom's boyfriend or whatnot, because that's a whole nother charge. Just take that off the table. He's at least committed terroristic threatening for sure. Possibly aggravated assault or assault and battery. I don't know how they want to charge it. So once the cops come and they put you in cuffs, you cooperate 100%. Yeah. Right? Okay. I'm guessing, do they take you to jail first or do they take you to questioning?
So they take me to questioning.
Okay. With the white room with the little camera in the corner.
Yeah, a little padding on the wall.
Yeah.
Whatever. And
I had to be there myself. It's intimidating.
And it is. And yeah, I think my adrenaline is still running.
Right.
There's a lot of stuff going on in my mind.
Well, I can bet you got your daughter at home. You have other family members who, you just shot the father of your sister's child. I can imagine how much is running through your head at this time. Like, for one, did you think he was going to die or live? Did you even have a status on him?
And that was when they replayed my interview in court. I do ask the detective if he's all right.
And what did they tell you?
They told me he was fine. That I did shoot him, but he was going to be treated and released.
So at this time, you knew he had no life-threatening injuries.
Yeah.
And see, even that right there, like, you are asking, is he all right?
Yeah.
So for someone that's intentionally trying to hurt someone, they're not gonna say.
They're not gonna worry about the well-being of the victim.
Like, is he okay?
Yeah, they're not gonna. Yeah, the well-being of the victim is probably gonna be the last thing in their mind.
They're gonna be like, yeah, I shot him.
I don't know how y'all feel, but like I said, this is my brother. But to look at it from an objective perspective, to take myself out of relationship with this man, I still think I do not see how you could be charged. I do not understand it. with the law, with everything, with the threats being made.
And another thing for the listeners out there, we're in front of Archie right now.
Right.
See, so the listeners are not actually in front of Archie right now.
Mm-hmm.
And Archie is telling his story, and he's in an emotional state right now.
Yeah, he's not all smiles right now. Yeah. This is something that's still... And that's the thing, too. Just as you touched on, if you're a decent human being, you cannot experience something like this and talk about it later with a smile on your face and with no emotion.
Right.
There's no way.
Right.
This is going to be something that is going to affect you probably for life. Mm-hmm. And I mean, we didn't even think about that. Like the PTSD it could cause you.
Yeah, because listeners, the public, they're gonna say, oh, okay, they're gonna read it on the paper or see it on the news and be like, oh, okay, there was shots fired, in Fort Smith.
Let's touch on this real quick. I'm glad you brought that up because you reminded me. So, because I want to get your opinion on this too. So when this first happened, 5 News, the local news in our area, when they first shared the story, the headline was "White Man Shoots Black Man in Fort Smith," and that was it. That's all you got on the headline. No,
I think the system is messed up. That headline right there, I think, is whatever you want to call it. What they call it, clickbait, or read bait.
Yep.
Because they want to make it for everybody to be like, oh, okay, like
I bet it was this racist.
I bet it was, man, it's black and white,
exactly, and
clearly
black and white.
That's a trending thing going on. It's been going on for a long time, black versus white, or police brutality, and it's always a black and white thing, with that. And they put it out there for the public to take it like that, to take it in like that.
Yeah, that's how they present it.
Yeah, I feel like that's not fair.
It's definitely not fair because when you see that headline, the first thing you are going to think is the white man is in the wrong, because when you say white man shoots black man, you think it is white man shoots this man because he's black. It gives you no context. It gives you nothing other than the race and who was shot by who. And for the listeners, y'all don't know my brother personally, but his daughter is mixed. His nephew is mixed. I mean,
oh my.
Actually, true. Yes. All of the nephew, nieces, they're all mixed.
Yeah, and I feel like, and me speaking as an African American black male, it's not always, just because I'm African American, this white man should automatically be found guilty, or vice versa.
Or it shouldn't even be a race matter.
It shouldn't.
Context matters.
Yeah.
Context, intent, everything matters. It cannot be. And when you put a narrative out like that, when you go to trial, you're judged by a group of your peers. If your peers had seen that headline at first, you would already put a narrative-based story in their head that
this person is guilty
because he's a racist or did it for a racial reason. You don't get to hear about he was making terrorist threats because the mom done tried to fight the boyfriend. And it's crazy that the news is allowed to do this.
You gotta have the facts first.
You have to. And you have to have the whole facts. That's something too that, man, like cherry picking when it comes to facts nowadays is scary. Because, I could read a whole story and I can take out the pieces that I like and I can present that to you. And I could twist that whole story in a way that it changes the story.
And present it how you want them to look at it.
You have to have the whole story. And that's kind of why I wanted to do this, because, the trial's done over with. It is what it is. But, we're nobody, man. This podcast is just getting started, but hopefully this could,
But before we end it,
go ahead.
I got some more questions for Archie. So, going back to you said, so they brung you in for questioning, right?
Yeah.
You got to tell your story. Did they bring anybody else in for questioning?
As far as
like witnesses, like so did they ask your sister to come in?
As far as I know, him and my sister neither made a statement. Or the only statement that he made and our officer, I don't know if he was a detective or what, and during the trial was that he'd actually told him that he carries a gun while he was in the hospital. Now,
D'Angelo told the police that he carries a gun?
Yes.
So I didn't even know nothing about that.
Yes.
Why? But he's a convicted felon. How can he tell the police that he carries a gun? He's a convicted felon out on parole for a violent crime. How is he able to tell them he's carrying a gun?
He wasn't found with anything.
Yeah, but is that not admitting to a crime? Because being in possession of a firearm as a felon is a crime.
But if you're not in possession of that said firearm, can they charge you?
I get, yeah. That's almost like if I was to rob a bank yesterday and then I walk up to the cops and I go, hey, I robbed this bank, but I got the money on me, the ski mask, the gun. They're going to still arrest me because I just confessed to a crime.
They may detain you until they can
figure out. No, they're going to arrest my motherfucking ass.
They're going to have proof that you committed this crime.
Yeah. The proof is me telling them.
That's just hearsay to them at that point. Now they got to see.
Because anybody can say, I robbed a bank.
But why would you...
This type of gun, I was dressed in this.
And see, I think that's where it gets into where if you can give them details, like especially if it ain't released to the public, if you can say, I wore this mask, I had this gun, I think you're done.
Because they're using that type of stuff in court anyway.
Yeah.
With music,
they're using for sure. And that's...
Okay.
We'll get into that because I do want to talk about that.
We'll get into that. But go ahead, Archie.
I will say, being through this process, that if you find yourself in this situation, in any form, do not speak with police.
Invoke your Fifth Amendment right.
100%.
Okay. Why is that? Why do you feel...
So, even though I'd, asked how he was doing and, you don't know how you're going to act when, you just shot someone. They even used that video and my testimony in court to say, well, why didn't you say that he came at you when the detective asked you? So...
But human recollection is so...
And stuff, You don't remember everything. I still can't remember everything. It's like... It's there, but it's a blur. And
I can 100% speak to that. I had an incident where I got chased for actually a few blocks. Same neighborhood, around the same time. And I had actually ran to Archie's house because I knew there was a weapon there. And this guy was chasing me with a gun. I don't know who it was. For no reason. I think it was an older looking gentleman. And I got to Archie's house. I got the gun. I came back outside and they were pulling up on the street. And Archie kind of wrestled for the gun a little bit. And I up it and I fired one time. And luckily the clip drops out. And so I only got to fire that one shot. And they took off. Don't know who it was. And if you was to ask me today, walk me through it, I could give you like a rough outdraft of like what happened. But yeah, I couldn't tell you, like the detectives, I clearly remember they said when you ran into the house, was you clapping your hands? And I was like...
So that's how they get you. It's the way
I
don't
think so. But then when I talked to Archie and my other cousin Cody, they was like, yes, you ran in and you was like, gun, or something like that. And I had like...
You didn't remember.
When I said no, I fully believed. Why would I clap my hands? But yeah. So in a fight or flight situation, in any situation to where your adrenaline is up and you're on like alert, you're not going to recall everything. Nobody's going to.
For sure.
It's just
for sure.
So I'm strongly against human testifying in court because witnesses testifying in court because the human recollection is so terrible.
Yeah.
If you ask me what shirt you wore yesterday, I'd probably get it wrong. You know, just because
I know you had a jersey.
you had a jersey.
What was under that jersey?
If you asked me the color of the jersey, couldn't tell you.
He had a jersey on.
Solid purple.
It wasn't solid purple. It was like tie-dye
color.
It was,
and that was just
yellow,
last night.
like
I couldn't.
tie-dye
Yeah.
spots.
That's so. And okay, so they use that against you. What was it?
They didn't so much use it against. They use it as like a. Well, if you would have said that, maybe you could have used self-defense, but you didn't. So you saying,
but they're also asking
that you
right
were
after this
defending
happened.
yourself.
That is,
and then they go to say, you know, like, so you just out here shooting and children in the neighborhood and
yeah, they said the same thing with me too. They was like, "What if kids was out?" And I said the same thing.
I believe they would say that because it's all about. I think it's about money because they're like, okay, shooting. Going back to that headline, shooting. We got somebody. So let's put somebody in jail.
Going back to that now, they had offered me an original plea deal. They offered me 10 years in prison, and that was with another 10 suspended.
So they offered you basically a 20. Yeah, they offered you. They came at you with the max as their first offer for you. Yeah, and this is your first violent crime or first felony. And they're offering you the max. Yeah. And you're defending yourself. You're not. It's not as if you're out here riding around shooting folks.
And then
no. So I have a misdemeanor battery charge from 8 years ago or something.
Mm-hmm. Nothing
going
that
through
pertains
divorce,
to this. Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. But this other guy, look at his record.
Oh, it's wild, bro.
So why don't they bring that up? So, you know, you're at your house.
He did end up testifying for the prosecution, and
because at first he wasn't cooperating. Yeah.
Now, we're going back to like that headline y'all said. So pretty much one of the first things he says is that when he gets there, my mother. He doesn't say her, but he says we're all calling him the N-word and telling him this and that. And, you know, I've got to write this down on my little legal pad. Like, hey, my family's all mixed, basically. Mm-hmm. My own daughter, I was married to a mixed woman, you know.
Yeah, so this is not a race thing.
This is, you need to shut that down when you question him, because I never said that.
Yeah.
And when cross-examined him on that, you know, he said, all right, so he never said that. It was his mother and her boyfriend, and so it was like, don't bring something into this that's not.
Right.
Something that's just totally irrelevant.
To do, man.
And that's one thing I will never be, you know, like that. I can't be.
So, and I always said, sorry to cut you off. Does that make you feel in a type of way where you're like, dang, okay, so I can't protect my family. So if someone, you know, is doing all of this stuff to my family, they already done something, and then they're saying that they're gonna come back and kill me and my family. I don't have a right to. I'm getting charged.
Yeah. So
because I'm protecting my family. Does that make you feel like? How does that make you feel?
Realistically, I mean, that's exactly how it feels. Like, you can't defend your family, you can't protect them unless somebody setting up in an office says, all right, well, it seems like he didn't break the law.
Yeah. You can't.
It's not, it's so gray area in that.
Yeah. That's crazy. This situation didn't happen to me, but I feel for him. I'm like, dang, like
not only that, but like I said, based on the fact that one of the bullets hit him in the back, in the shoulder, is realistically why a jury found that under the law, I committed that crime.
Because that makes it look like he's retreating. But in reality, he was actually fighting.
Yeah.
Like how a bullet penetrates the body, or where you get hit at?
Well, because if you get hit in the back, the law basically, or courts will look at it as like me and you were fighting, and then like when the cops show up and I shoot you all in the back, they're gonna say, well, he was retreating. You were under no threat. But like I said, in his situation, that happened not because he was retreating. It happened because he was actually engaging in a physical altercation with another person. And you know how that can get to twisting and turning. And that just happened to be how he got shot. He was never at any point trying to de-escalate the situation, walk away. And he was actually escalating it. Archie comes out with a firearm, and instead of being like, all right, motherfucker, you got me, or whatever, saying you a bitch for that, like, I'm gonna leave. He states, I'm gonna come back and kill you and your mother. And Archie's about to go to work.
And then another thing is,
so
I guess you can't prove that he said, I'm gonna come back and,
he admits
and
it
kill you.
in court.
So he
admits it
in court that he didn't say he was going to come back, but in court he said, I told them I was going to do it right then.
Okay.
Not that he was going to come back, but he was going to do it then.
Okay.
Now, at the same time, the prosecution keeps using that I told this detective that he said he was going to come back. Even though it's on the record that he said he was not coming back. He was going to do it then and there. Then. So it's...
The system messed up, bro.
But I can understand being found guilty under the color of the law. But to not be able to use what happened to believe that this person was capable of doing it until after they already said guilty. And then my sister...
Take your time. I think I know where you're heading with this, and it's kind of shocking to me.
After the fact that I'd shot him, it was a couple weeks later. He had climbed through one of my sister's neighbor's windows, chased this girl around with a knife, went to my sister's apartment with his son, beat my sister up with a knife in his hand, locked both of them, her and my nephew, in a closet.
And police was called to this altercation, right?
I'm not really... I don't know the entire details. She tells her story in court.
And see, even with that right there, so you have the woman who is laying with this man, painting this picture of this violent, almost borderline schizophrenic, whatever you want to say. Like, he's clearly not there in the head, but he's clearly dangerous. But he knows what he's doing as well.
Now, what's hard for me is that they tried to paint this picture that him as the victim, he was only trying to come take his son to school on that day.
Was his son there to begin with, or did they pull up with the son?
No, he was in my sister's vehicle and was trying to leave with my sister and their son.
And the son was at your mom, his son was at your mother's house at the time, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Also with another one of my nieces who was going to school. And I ended up making her go back in the house before anything happened.
Right.
And to know later, because I guess love is blind, that she put herself in that situation. But for them to paint this picture of him and then her get up there and tell them this happened with his son, the one that he was just coming trying to take to school, that he beat his mother up, locked him in a closet
at knife
and
point.
all this stuff. It is just, it was hard to.
And you found all this out after the fact?
That was afterwards. Yeah.
Okay.
And I feel like the listeners, they gotta, this situation, you gotta learn from it. You know, you can't put this type of stuff in the law's hands. That's why everybody's like taking their phones.
Yeah.
They taking videos. You know, people got cameras and stuff like up at their house. You know, because if they got weapons, you know, most people, they got weapons.
And that's the thing, it would have been probably been a different thing, like if it was someone that I probably didn't know. You know,
they couldn't have seen it as a personal beef attack or whatever you want to paint it as.
Because at the end of the day, it was, well, you knew this person, but you can't say that his past things would have still happened.
But I think that
he could change. He was just trying to be a father.
No. I beg to differ. Because I believe if you know this person and you know what they're capable of in their past and you know what all they have done, that almost gives you more of a reason to be on guard.
Oh, yeah.
Because I know you, bro. I know what you do. I know about some shady shit you have done. I may have even done some shady shit with you back in the day. Like nothing violent, but just shady shit. I know you. I know what you're capable of. Like, yes, people can change, but when you got somebody outside your mother's house saying, I'm going to kill you and her, what has changed? Other than the location. You was in Chicago, now you in Arkansas. Ain't nothing changed but the address. So you get found guilty. All you get is the 5 years probation. I say all you get. That is.
So, I get the guilty verdict. My sister tells her story.
When you hear guilty, what is your emotions? How do you automatically go to, I'm going to prison?
First thing.
It's the first thing you think.
Prison. I'm not even going to be able to see my daughter before I go.
Right.
Any of these things, like.
But then again, in the back of your head, you're like, I was trying to protect my family.
And now you're potentially going to be locked away to where you have no way to protect. And it sucks. Our legal system is so broke. All right. So you hear that. You
they give the guilty verdict.
Yeah.
The judge then gives the prosecution and the defense the opportunity to give them their case for whether or not what you should be sentenced for, the jury will recommend.
Right.
You know, of course, the prosecution's like, you really want this crazy man out on the streets who just shot someone in the back, and
they're trying to paint you as a monster for the jury before they go deliberate.
So, and they're telling him, you know, he'll do this much time on whatever you recommend, and if he's good, he'll even get half of that. So you really want to sentence him high. So even if he does good, he's still got to do so much time.
What's it like to sit there and hear another person portraying you as a monster when you know your freedom is on the line? I know that's probably hard to put into words, and I can't even imagine it myself. That's why I asked, like...
It's been... Just hearing that was very emotionally draining.
Does it still fuck with you today?
Every day.
Every day?
That's crazy.
I can only imagine, like, sitting there thinking my life is on the line, and, like, you're not allowed to speak up and be like, hey, man, I'm not a month. Like, you have to just... Like, there's turns, and, you know, the court has its own procedure. Man, I can't imagine sitting there and hearing that and thinking, well, you just, like, just to come back and hear that guilty, I'm with Archie, man. My head would have went to prison. My daughters, like...
It's about money, man.
Well, it is.
And like, man, okay, we got somebody.
Right.
That's what they thinking.
Yeah.
Shooting?
Yep.
Oh, we got somebody.
White man, black man?
Oh, yeah.
Why it's a hot topic?
Man, we got somebody. And it's crazy.
And I was so they did their little spill on that, and then the defense, my attorney and stuff, was, they let them know that, hey, now the prosecution's let you know that y'all can sentence this guy to prison. Mm-hmm. But what they're not telling you is you don't have to do that.
Right. Because the prosecution didn't even, let that be an option, or let it be known. No. He doesn't have to go to prison.
So, they'll let him know, you can give him 5-10 years probation or a $15,000 fine, whatever the things are.
And the jury, your peers, went and deliberated for about how long?
They took me, put me in the holding cell at this point because now
are you cuffed?
They convicted me. I'm not cuffed at the moment.
Well, you're in the holding cell, yeah. So you wouldn't be cuffed.
I have to go out there, take my tie off and all that, I don't kill myself
or anybody else. Yeah.
I mean, I'm the only one in there.
Okay.
So, I'm in there probably.
What's going through your head as you're sitting there? Is that you're probably just thinking, "That's it. I fucked up. It's done." Are you even thinking anything?
My daughter out of my head.
Yeah, I bet. That.
Right.
And she's so young.
She's getting to that age.
Yeah.
She's almost a preteen.
Yep.
And if I go to prison, how long am I going to be gone?
Yeah. You're going to miss
She's going to hate me.
Was she there?
Yeah.
Through this whole, so the incident, with the shots fired.
The whole time.
In the
Never
house.
Woke up.
Oh, thank God.
Yeah. No, for sure. Thank God.
Thank God.
Because,
I ain't a religious person.
The same. It's turn of phrase.
A good thing that
didn't
see that.
You're in the holding cell at this point.
I'd say it's probably not even 10 minutes. The guard comes, opens the door, and says that the jury's got a question that I got to go back out there while this goes on. And the jury comes in, or we're waiting on the prosecution actually, and their office is across the hall, so we thought they was going to be right in. Well, they're not coming in, so the judge goes ahead and allows the jury to come in and ask them a question.
What's their question?
Their question is, if they don't want to give me prison time, there's nothing on this paper for a probation or a fine or anything like that.
Everything is prison. So the prosecutor has it to where the jury goes back, they have to look at this paper, they have to read the laws, and then the recommendations are on this paper. Everything is jail time.
I don't think everything is jail time on that paper. I think the actual form where they write in what they want, there's no other option besides jail time.
Okay. So they were asking, can we give something?
If we do want to give him probation or a fine or both, how do we put that on here? So it was basically, if you want to give him, 10 years, you write 10 years, and at the bottom you write probation, and not.
Did that make you
understand?
Was that a relief at all when they asked that question?
For me, that wasn't a relief.
That wasn't?
It wasn't.
You thought it was worse?
I at that moment, it's all right. They're just asking questions. It's not that they're going to do that. Because what's the odds of them just now convicting me of basically one of the top violent crimes in the state of Arkansas?
Yeah. And
to sentence me to probation.
Right.
But
so you're looking at slim to none chances on being free.
Judge tells them they go back to deliberate again. I go back to the cell.
How long are you there this time?
Not much longer. Probably the same amount of time.
10 minutes.
Come back, get me again. They come in. The judge asks what their recommendation was and everything. And they hand in the paper. And it was 5 years probation. And he accepted it.
No fines, no jail time.
There is a stipulation with being 20 years is the maximum I could get. As long as I don't get in trouble between that date and that date on 2028, there's nothing else. If I do, I can still receive up to 20 years in prison.
Okay. So, almost best case scenario besides not guilty.
Besides not guilty.
I mean, you do have to give up your firearms for 5 years, but you can...
I will never get my firearms back.
Never.
With the law right now.
Okay. So, the public, hearing everything that y'all heard, knowing everything that you know now, do y'all think our laws are set up in a way to actually be fair, or are they set up in a way to put, I don't want to word it as innocent people, because, I mean, he was found guilty. My personal opinion, I think that's bullshit. Tamina, you may feel a different way. I think it's bullshit given the... Okay, so...
I mean, realistically, it's not just a firearm issue. It's... I will never get this off my record.
Right.
Yeah.
And so you are going to look...
Housing, jobs, whatever.
So it affects your life in so many ways.
So even when you think this is done and over with, when you walk out the courtroom, you are going to carry this to the day you die.
Yeah,
unless something happens.
Unless they can change the law that says, hey, if you can prove that you are, not a threat or something, that you can get all your rights back and you can have this taken off your record, it's going to go with me until the day I die.
They make you
join
some program, do some stuff for the community.
See, and to be able to get you. Okay, here's my thing. If people go to prison for their felonies and they get out, why do we hinder them from getting jobs? Why do we hinder them from getting, loans and just opportunities in life? If they have already went to prison and served their time, why do we put this stamp on their head that says not good enough for anything going forward? And I'm not talking about just violence. I'm not talking about with just Archie either. I'm talking about, you would point me to somebody I don't like. I don't get this felony, stays with you for life. It shouldn't be this scarlet letter that hangs on your neck.
You got to think about it. Some felonies are bank fraud and stuff. They're not even violent at all.
Right. And I believe if you go do your time and follow all the rules of your probation, once your probation is up, I believe that should be it.
Yeah, I think they should take it off of your record.
I mean, even if they need it there for like database issues, like to say like what you did in the past, okay. But when you're talking about, can I apply to this job? Am I not going to get hired because of this?
It shouldn't be.
It's crazy.
I mean, because even if they're gonna keep it on your record, let's say they're like, no, we got to keep it on your record just to keep track of it.
Right.
I don't think it should be fair to. It'll stop you from getting a home.
Yeah.
Applying,
it's not
using your credit,
society.
Or you know what I mean, or anything, getting a job, making a living, so you could provide for your family. Like, I don't think it should be set up like that.
All right, so real quick, because I think we
still gotta survive.
You have to be able to make a living, because otherwise you're only kind of pushing people like him into shady shit.
Yeah,
if he can't, you know what I mean? If he can't,
so that's going back to, that's probably why they do that. Because
just to repeat this.
They're like, the more people that's in jail, because if you don't have the people, you don't have the jail. And it's all going back to money. I'm telling you.
So
it's broken, man. They like, we gotta
the system's
have people.
broke.
Gotta have people in jail. We have to.
Well, then you get cheap labor too out of people in jail.
The system is set up for you to fail.
100%.
It's set up for you to fail.
Unless you have,
special. It sucks, man.
Unless you have money, or somebody. Real quick on this. So, given everything that has happened, I mean, I'm gonna ask this question just as an interviewer. do you feel you got justice? I probably already know the answer, but for the audience, do you feel justice was served? Given the situation, given how the law is set up, do you feel you broke the law? Do you feel you should have got what you got? Final thoughts. And what would you do different if you could go back in time? 2-part question.
Do I think I got justice?
Yes.
I don't think I got justice. For the victim, did they get justice?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. From their standpoint, going back, I don't know what I would have done different. I don't know if I would have done anything different. I guess it's just stuff happens so fast that you don't think about it.
Of course, especially with children involved, and man, something has to be done. Like I said, I wanted to get you on here to tell your story because I know everybody knows of it, but I just kind of wanted to give them a deeper look into it. Mm-hmm. Y'all can let us know what y'all think. Y'all can let us know. Do y'all think justice was served? Do y'all feel he got what he deserves? Do y'all feel like it's completely bullshit? I mean, let us know. Illis, you got anything for final words? How you feeling?
I'm upset hearing the story.
Yeah,
to be honest,
it really,
I'm upset.
And I think that's
upset, man. It make me feel a certain way. I feel, for Archie, the system is broken. I feel like it was designed to keep people inside of the jail. I feel like when you go to jail, they're supposed to do like what you call it?
What you mean?
Rehabilitation or
rehabilitate. Yeah, they're supposed to rehabilitate you.
I mean,
that's not what we do in America. We send you to jail to make you a better criminal.
Yes.
We're not trying to make you a better civilian, like most jails in other countries.
They want to keep you in there.
It's a broken system.
Yeah.
It's a broken system that until we fix it, we will not see change in places like the hoods, the ghettos, places like this. Y'all want to blame the hoods and ghettos for people going to jail? I think y'all are looking at it backwards. Just my personal opinion.
And for me, I'm gonna just for the audience and for the listeners out there, I just want y'all to comment, and give us your opinion. Like, do you feel like it can be fixed, or do you think it's just gonna always be like that? Because it's the system. Like, the world is.
Are we stuck in this system because we've done it for so long?
They're just like, man, this is the system. This is the world we living in. Deal with it. That's how I feel. They're gonna say, just deal with it.
You hear it all the time. People say if it's broke, don't fix it. But it is broke. It is broken all to shit, and it needs to be fixed. Just because it benefits rich white people does not mean it is not broken.
Mm-hmm. And for the people that was, on this case, when you go at home, and you look at yourself in the mirror, I really want them, I want their opinion.
I would love to talk to the prosecutor.
Like when you go home to your family, do you look at your kids, because you're taking freedom away from this guy.
Potentially,
you're trying to say, okay, you got 20 years.
Yep.
So you're taking that person away from their family, their loved ones.
For protecting them.
Yes. You're taking them away. So then when you go home, you're free. So you're going to you're going to kiss your kids, good night, or you're going to be like, dang, like I took this man away from his kids, for 20 years. He ain't going to be able to see his daughter, until she's 20 years old.
I would really like to talk to a prosecutor, and
how can you look, you're at yourself in the mirror every day and be like, that's my job. That's what I do.
That's what I was about to say. I think they separate it as like, well, that's my job. But take that away because we're talking about people's lives. It can't just be your job.
Who want a job like that?
Sick motherfuckers, man.
That's what it
Some
goes
sick.
back. It's the system.
Hey, same thing
man.
with judges, bro. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I'm not trying to knock judges because I may be in front of one day. So don't fucking hang me. But if you think you can judge another person, who the fuck are you? Because you got a fucking robe and a hammer. You ain't no better than the man on trial. You could be in his shoes one day. That could never be me. I'm sure when Archie woke up that morning to go to work, he'd never in a million years thought, I'm about to have to shoot somebody to protect my family. Mm-hmm. He thought he was going to go to work.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it should be the other way around, and they should look at it from, a different perspective and be like, okay, why did you pull a firearm? Okay,
was it necessary?
Was it necessary? Oh, he was at your house?
Yeah.
Okay, your kids was there?
And other children. Like,
I
don't
what I mean? Why they don't word stuff like that?
Because they only worry about, did he break a law we have wrote down? They don't look at, like, circumstances. They don't look at the situation. It's, did you go against something I told you not to do? Which is...
Mm-hmm. Well,
that's why
I'm signing off. That's all I got to say.
All right, Archie, you got anything to say before we cut this?
I don't have anything else. Just hope no one has to be in that type of situation.
Oh, for sure.
Like I said, there's been a lot of shootings here lately. I know a young woman just lost her life for no reason.
Yeah.
I hope she gets justice. So that's about all I got right now.
Well, folks, this has been a special edition of the 50/50 podcast. Just doing a deep dive on some local events. Like I said, y'all can comment, share your opinions and thoughts with us. And till next time, peace.
Peace.